When you're looking for a digital marketing agency, what do you look for?
Credibility. In my opinion, if you're looking for an agency, you should be looking for, say, 80% of agencies are not good.
We're all grappling with something. Each and every entrepreneur, business owner, and leader experiences growing pains, no matter where they are on their business journey. On Grappling Growth, we discuss the challenges we consistently face in striving for more, sharing strategies, ideas, and thoughts on how to grapple with growth. We're building a platform where you can join us sharing your challenges and successes alike, whilst growing. So, you coming along?
Welcome back to the Grappling Growth podcast, and we're here back with another quick question, which is, when you're looking for a digital marketing agency, what do you look for? As someone looking at hiring a digital marketing agency, whether it's branding, social media, SEO, whatever it is, what do you think, Joe, people look for when they're considering a marketing agency?
Right, so this is anything that I would recommend to clients that we're working with and agencies that I coach. So there's a realm of things that we need to itemize and go through. I think above all else, credibility and past case studies is arguably the most important things that you should be looking for if you're working with an agency. In my opinion, if you're looking for an agency, you should be looking for a niche or a specialist based agency. So if you're looking for an e-commerce based agency, look for them, don't just look for generalists. And then above that, if you're a jewelry brand, let's say, look for jewelry specific agencies because they have more benefits, they have more knowledge on specific topics around your business and what you're looking for. On the other fence of that we spoke about is credibility. So what does their track record look like? And one thing I would do if I was out there hiring an agency is I would make them jump through hoops. So I would see and understand their thinking. Are they just here to implement or are they here to be a strategic partner? There's a very, very big difference. Whenever we work with brands, we always want to position ourselves as a strategic partner. So what we do before we get on calls with clients, and this is generally our second call, we have a two-stage process where we have an initial call just to see if we're on the same wavelength, and then a second call where we break down an audit that we create. And normally this audit takes us between 1 to 2 hours. So it's quite labor intensive and it's really thought provoking, but we want to show our heightened expertise. And I think in the world of digital marketing agencies, and I don't want to shame the industry, but I would say 80% of agencies are not good and they're cowboys. And they are people who have gone and they've watched a course that's taken them maybe 2 months to complete and they're leveraging someone else's results. And that's all they're doing. And they actually don't understand digital marketing, whether that be copywriting, Facebook ads, SEO, content production. They have watched a few YouTube videos and they've gone out and they thought, I can do this. So I would really look to check their credibility, their expertise, case studies. I wouldn't possibly go as far as to trying to contact their previous clients. I know a few clients that we've worked with have contacted previous clients and we're happy for them to do that. I think there's enough resource on the internet for you to check over these clients. A few other good places that you can look to is that, say, their social media or their website. A good proxy of an agency is how good are they presenting themselves online within their own realms. So if an agency specializes in content, what is their own content mirror on Instagram per se? And equally, if you're looking at an copywriting agency, what articles have they written on their website as thought leader pieces? So that's what I would look at. And then if I was to really get critical, depending on the scale and size of the agency, I would do my homework on the founders. So I'd look at their personal brands on Instagram, LinkedIn, and just look for their own digital footprint. So that's what I would recommend to anyone who's looking for an agency. And on par, this is a recommendation that I would give to agencies who are looking to bulletproof and strengthen their sales process. Erald, what are your thoughts on this? Because you've come from a bigger agency background, so you know a different degree to me.
No, but I think you're spot on, Joe. A lot of the things that you said are really what I think a lot of people should hone in on, which is generally, how do you find agencies? Either it's probably through referral. So you speak to another business owner and you're like, do you know a good agency that can do this for me? And they're like, oh, actually, I use Bespoke for paid ads, or use Scroll for SEO. And I'm not saying that you should come to me or Joe for paid ads or SEO. I'm just giving an example of how typically the sales cycle has gone in the past. Now, if you're looking at referrals, then I still think that due diligence is key, because there are still cases when someone gets referred on and actually it's not a good fit for whatever reason, whether it be budget, niche, the people involved, that the pitch itself just doesn't quite match. And I've been pitched clients that are definitely not a good fit for my business and end up declining the work. But an agency's credibility, especially the big agencies, and we're talking to agency owners that are like starting out and growing their businesses, right? So big agencies function a little bit differently. They have processes where they'll tender for work. So they'll have a large client and the client will tender and have 5 of the big agencies go out there and pitch for them. It's very hard to break into that kind of tender process unless you have interpersonal connections and whatnot. But otherwise, it is very much led on, are you a specialist, as Joe said? So if you're a specialist agency that has experience with dentists or lawyers, typically you know the functions that can get results for those clients, and you've done it provably over a long period of time. Things like awards and whatnot, I would completely ignore. Most awards are like, there are some awards that are worth their salt, but some that really don't actually reflect whether an agency is good. An agency showing an award they won in 2012 for a small campaign does not reflect exactly the quality of the agency at that moment in time. And I say this having won awards, and I know Joe's won a lot of awards. That's just one piece of our repertoire that actually doesn't speak to the larger signal of quality that we have as agency owners. And the focus on our delivery is shown by many other things. So I think you've really broken it down really well. I don't know if there's much else to add, apart from when you're speaking to an agency about a particular function, think about what the offer is and whether that makes sense from a business and ROI perspective. So someone's coming in and they're like, I'm gonna come in and do performance only. I'm gonna be performance only, no base fee. I'm just gonna go on performance, and they don't have any proven impact on any business on a performance only basis. Then you're just wasting your time. What's worse is you get stuck with an agency that's cheap because you want to save money, and then you end up wasting months and months of your time with that agency, when instead the opportunity cost of working with a good agency that's more expensive per se can actually drive those results instead. And I'd love to hear your view on this as well, Joe. Like, a lot of it comes down to cost factor, right? And how much do you think cost actually plays a part in the choice for most brands?
So there's the classical saying, cost is what you pay, value is what you get. And I've had many of conversations with clients where they've spoken to an agency. And one other thing I'd add on to that is be very, very wary of agencies who are making ridiculous claims. I've heard claims of, we can start working with you and generate a 5-to-1 return on investment. We can generate a guarantee of 50 leads a month. Generally speaking, this is going to require a very convoluted contract, let's say. So this is going to be a contract which is a conditional guarantee that says you need to do 20 of these things and then this will happen. So be very wary. We started working with a pretty cool brand a few months ago who, as we were speaking, the reason why we won them and we won that deal was because he said I was very reasonable and down to earth, which was great. And when he said reasonable, he meant with regards to the expectations. So there is that element of having to be very cautious with what people say. And in my opinion, if you're looking at an agency, you should be thinking of someone who is looking to underpromise, because that person has probably got more battle scars and they understand that things are harder than, as Erald mentioned, they won an award for a campaign in 2012. If people still singing their praises from something they've done a while ago or they haven't got much validation recently, then that would be a thing that I would steer clear from. And on your point about pricing, evidently pricing is important, but I think when you're there and you're speaking to an expert who is confident and can display a series of strategic options for your business, then that is something you should really factor in, because the opportunity cost, as you mentioned, or the inactivity cost, if you've got an agency who are pulling you back for 6 months and they're struggling to achieve results, well, you have to factor in that time period plus how long it's going to take after that time period to then achieve the results you're looking for. So my take would be work out a medium of what you're willing to pay, similar to if you'd get a builder to come around and do some work in your home. You've always got a contingency kitty of maybe 20% if things go wrong, but equally have that in play. You're trying to draft the best players into your team. So naturally, the best players are going to cost more money. And we know, and Erald, you've got some fantastic clients that you work with who pay good money for you because, in my opinion, you're one of the best in your field of what you do.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. I didn't pay Joe to say that, by the way. But I also think like you're spot on about the cost aspect, and I think you raised a good point on. And this is one thing I would say, just to sort of like wrap up the topic, which is there are red flags that you should also look out for. And I'm not going to delve into every single one of them. We can maybe talk about this another time. But I heard a horror story recently of, I might actually get in trouble for saying this, so bear with me. But I have a friend that has a website who built the website with a agency, and that they now want to leave. They want to leave the contract, of course, as you do. Like, not every relationship, client's agency lasts forever, unfortunately for us. And the agency has said, well, actually, we've got a 12-month contract with you, a 12-month rolling contract. And my friend said, what do you mean 12-month rolling contract? They're like, well, you have to give us 3 months notice. And if you don't give us 3 months notice before the 12 months is up, then it renews for another 12 months. And he said, well, that's ridiculous. Like, how can you're locking me in for a year and I have to give you 3 months notice before I don't get locked in for a year again? Well, the contract was signed 4 years ago. I'm pretty sure it wasn't even valid. But there are agencies out there that will try to lock you into ridiculous contracts to make it impossible for you to get out of. And as a rule of thumb, I know me and Joe, we don't hold clients hostage. If they want to go, that's perfectly fine. People have to leave for different reasons. But look out for the contracts that you're given. Make sure that you're not being shafted in any way, because it's important that those are watertight. And look for agencies that are open, transparent about everything, their results, their mistakes, whatever they do. And I think you'll end up with someone that essentially is right for your business. The agency is a bolt-on part of the business, essentially, and that's how I view my agency when it comes to my clients, and I'm sure you do too, Joe. Those things are massively important.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better.
Okay, thank you for tuning in. If there's any agency questions, feel free to send them in to podcast@grapplinggrowth.com. Leave us a comment. Send us your messages on social media if you have any questions or that you'd like us to answer. And we'll catch you in the next episode.
Take care, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Cheers. Bye.